Hi, everybody. So thanks for joining this webinar about conversion rate optimization. So we can just wait still a few minutes and then we can start. Just for the introduction, this webinar will be mainly about more about an introduction to conversion rate optimization, because obviously we cannot present everything in only 1 hour. And then we will show you a bit more in details how to use Google Optimize and our methodology, how to inverse them, and the methodology we advise you to use to have successful cases as well. I'm still waiting a few people and then we can start. Yeah. So I hope everybody is in good health at the moment. It's not an easy moment for almost everybody, for the companies. So you can post a message. Is it okay for the song? Do you hear me well? Okay, great. Good. So many people today, so it's good. Okay, so maybe just a question before starting. What is your experience with CRO? Do you have already launched some tests, or is it quite new for you? Okay. Good. Okay. Very nice. Yeah, sure. Okay, good. So it's new for many people, and I think all of you will learn some stuff today and be able to launch at least more experiences and make some researches. It will be good. So I think we can start now. So this is the agenda for today. So explain and it's more about a reminder, but what is conversion rate optimization exactly? We will talk about Google Optimize as well. We are now a certified Google Optimize company for 3 months now. So it's not an easy process. You have to submit some successful cases and pass some examination. But now we are good, I think, to help you and to show you how it works. We will make a small demo on how to create an experiment on Google Optimize, and you will see it's very easy and probably the easiest part of conversion rate optimization. We will show you some cases and how you can find inspiration on what you have to test to improve your conversion rate. And then I will give you some tips and tricks based on our experience, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and what you should take care about. And yeah, I take the time to introduce myself as well. So I'm Kévin Coppens, Head of Analytics at Universum. I'm working at Universum for more than 3 years now. I have a past experience as a web developer, and I worked before as well in Luxembourg as a management consultant. So I have this different perspective. I would say that I have the business side and the technical part as well. So that's good sometimes to combine both together to better help our clients. So what is CRO concretely? So obviously it stands for conversion rate optimization. It's clear for everybody, but it's a process by which you can create an experience, a specific experience, a good experience for your website visitors. And finally, this experience is so compelling that you transform them from visitor statue into customer statue. So I really like this definition because today almost everything is about experience, customer experience, and you can naturally convert your leads or your visitors into customers just by offering them a very good experience. It's really the purpose and the objective of this session and CRO. And so there are different components of CRO. The first one is UI. A lot of people talk about UI. Actually, UI is just about design. And so we have a lot of clients at Universum who create a really wonderful. They are super nice, super beautiful, and so on. But finally, sometimes it's difficult for their visitors to find the right information or to buy some product or to find some specific product. And that's the limits of UI. So you want to create something really beautiful, but it's not convenient for your website users. That's why UX exists as well. So UX is about user experience. And the purpose of UX is really to think about the user, how it could be easier for them to find a specific information, to gather the different information they need at the specific place so they can quickly access it, and even to make a purchase on your website. So those parts are really important, and I will make a specific focus today on UX as well. Then we have the analytics part, super important. It's my specialty as well. But analytics is essential because if you don't have analytics, you cannot understand your user behavior. You cannot find some issue, and you cannot measure the result of your action. So you cannot know if what you did, which test is performing the best, for example, and so on. Then you have the content. Obviously, you need some content issue. Okay. Can detail a bit more about the issue. Is it still working? Do you still see my screen? Okay. Okay, so can continue. Okay. So yes, for the content, you need obviously to get the right content. Okay, it's good. The right content to be able to optimize your website. So it means enough information, enough sometimes videos, sometimes images, but you need obviously to get something, otherwise you cannot create different tests. Then agility, because CRO is also about managing people and different aspects of your website. So you will need to ask your copywriter to create more content. You will need your designer to create some new images, your web developer to change some aspect of your pages. So it's important to manage those people and to get some flexibility in the process so that you don't take 6 months to launch a new test, for example. And the last one, and probably the most important, is the documentation. Each time you launch a test, you need to be sure you well document it, because this is super important for the future. If you have historic with all the tests that works and maybe some tests that didn't work, you can understand how to prioritize your new test. If you have 50 hypotheses you would like to test, for example, it's a lot. You cannot launch everything in the same times. This documentation will be like a reference document where you can see, okay, this kind of test usually bring me 10% more conversion rate. Why this specific kind of test is not working so much? So you can prioritize everything and get the best result for your CRO strategy. This is the view when you are using Google Optimize. You can see that you have 3 types of tests exactly, plus the personalization. So A/B test, I will explain what are A/B tests, multivariate tests, and redirect tests just after a bit more in details, because it takes more time. But just regarding the personalization, it's something which is becoming more and more important today and more implemented in large organizations, but not only today. So personalization is about changing the web experience based on some actions or user preferences. And I have a very nice case with the Croix Rouge, the Belgium Red Cross. about personalization. For example, you can find this kind of big form to subscribe to their newsletter on every pages. So it's good because it indeed incite people to subscribe to the newsletter. But when they subscribe to the newsletter, it's not super convenient to see again and again and again on every page this form. So last year, we implemented together with them a personalization, personalization using Google Optimize. And what happened is that when people fulfill and subscribe to the newsletter form, it will disappear on every page. So that's an example of personalization. Another example could be that if your users are always visiting some specific part of your website, you could show this part directly to them. For example, for an e-commerce website, we could imagine then people, men are visiting, for example, always men's section, but so you could show the men's section directly when they type the URL of your website. That could be a possibility. That's just an example, but that's something you need to test and see the data, but it could improve the user experience. If we detail a bit more the different types of tests, I'll talk just before. We have the first, the A/B testing. So you have your current version, and then you decide to create a variation of this version with a different image, a different structure, a different content, and so on. And you look which is the best version, which version converts the best. So it's an easy one. Then you have the speed testing. This is a very good test to do when you create a new landing page. So when you create a new page to attract people on your product or company website, and that you want to convert them, to take contact with you, to download a form or something like that. You could have your current landing page and a new one that are designed, or even, for example, if you want to change your landing page, it's a good test to do before pushing the new one, because maybe the new one will decrease your conversion rate. So if you test it before, you can be sure that it won't affect negatively your result, and even to predict the improvement. And finally, the last test, which is great and that we recommend a lot, but we need to have enough volume, is the multivariables testing. In the multivariable testing, you can define different, for example, headlines, or a different structure. Let's imagine 3 different headlines, and then 3 different images. And automatically, Google Optimize will combine them and test each combination. So in this case, we would get 9 combinations, and we'll tell you, okay, this headline with this specific image is bringing the best results. So it can be interesting as well to better understand your conversion rate optimization. So the methodology we recommend is based on 6 steps. And actually, the most important is to work on the first, I would say the first and the second test, because after it's more a question of techniques, it's more a question of implementation. But if you don't perform the right research before, don't define your hypothesis correctly, you will not gain a lot of enough of performance in terms of conversion rates. But if you start with the right information, the right hypothesis, you can really get incredible results as well. So first step, performing research. And you can perform research using Google Analytics, but also some other tools, for example, OJARs, Content Square, that will allow you to record visitor in real time and to see if some part of your website are not obvious, I would say, and that could be improved. I will show you a concrete case with an example after, and we will do the test together actually to show you how to find some elements. Then you have your hypothesis. So based on the information you got at the first step, you can say, okay, I think this element is not good because it creates confusion. I can take again an example with the red cross. Yes, I will take later about that actually. But for example, you can have a pop-up that could create problem as well. So here you will define all the hypotheses that could improve your conversion rate. Once you have defined them, you need to prioritize them to say, okay, I will launch the first one, the second one, and the third one, and so on. But you cannot launch everything in the same time. Huh? And then we have the technical implementation. So creating variant, for example, if we launch an A/B test, running this A/B test, and then analyzing results. Very important part as well, the analysis, because you can analyze your result based on the primary objective, but also based on secondary objective. And so by going into Google Analytics, you will see what happened, for example, in terms of page view, but as well in terms of number of people that converted versus the total revenue, and so on. And then the last step is about documentation, documenting the reporting results. So let's see what happened with Google Optimize now. So it's a free tool, so you should all using it. Actually, it's very easy to implement and super easy to configure, to just launch a test. It can be really fun. So if you have some pages on your website you would like to test, just do it. You have almost no risk, and it's quite funny to do. So it's a web testing and experimentation tool developed by Google. So you have a lot of reliability, and the good thing with that is you have a direct link with the other Google products. So for example, Google Analytics, Google Ads, and so on. You will be able to configure different objectives. So for example, increase sales or increase revenue, increase conversion, and so on, and then to add different objectives. For example, increase the time spent on my website if it's more about content, and so on. Also, an important fact is that you can directly change and edit some element of your website without needing any coding skills or developers, and so on. So you can do it like it is a Word document, so it's super fun, and I will show you that in a minute. And then you have the reporting part, and it's good as well because Google is able to compute directly itself if your test is significant or not, or if you need more volume, and so on. And finally, it will give you directly what is the best version, and then you can yourself take a look at Google Analytics segment based on your experiment and see what happened exactly. Okay, is it clear until now? Yeah. Okay, great. Good. So let's get it together. So here is the website we are using at Universum to make our test with Google Tag Manager, Google Optimize, and so on. And we will use it as a fake case today to show you what happened. Let's imagine this is your website, and web analysts notice that 90% of your visitors arrive on this specific landing page and then start visiting other specific categories. So for example, watches, wedding dresses, shoes, and so on. But the web analysts tell you that very, very few people actually visit the shoes collection. What could be weird because you are well known for shoes as well. Your website is well known for shoes as well. And let's imagine you have shop in Belgium and other stuff like that. And so you decide, because you follow this webinar, to install Ojar. Ojar enable you to record live session, but as well to see what we call heat map, when you can see what visitor watch or clicked on. So for example, here on the example, we can see that we have a specific number of click on a specific section. So really, you make a heat map for the website and you get this result. What conclusion could you take based on that? So you have the analytics that tell you, okay, people don't really visit the choose collection. They arrive on the home page. And then you have this specific heat map. What do you think could be the problem? What could we test? There is no bad answer, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Other suggestions? Yeah, could be that as well, indeed. Okay, good. There are many ideas. That's nice. Okay, good. Let's here make, for example, the test with another picture. So it was your first suggestions. So let's imagine you have a great colleague who loves shoes, and we show you this nice picture. Tell you, okay, this picture is great and would certainly be better. So a first test you could do, and we will do it together now, would be an A/B testing, but you could create different variants, and then we call it an AX testing. So let's imagine we take 5 other pictures and we try to replace them to see which one is working the best. When you get this picture, you have 2 possibilities. Either you upload this picture on your website directly, or if you don't have direct access, you can do it using other ways. So for example, private hostings. So let's take image BB. It's very easy. You just click, you select your picture, and then you get it like that. And so you right click and you can copy the image link. So it's hosted on the web, and then you can use it. So now that I have my picture hosted on the web, I can create my experience and see what happened. I take my demo account, okay? I can create my experience. Experience, you choose image. Let's call it like that. Here I can select the different type of tests I want. So let's take an A/B test, and I will just check with the store if we have the right URL. So I will take this one as a base URL. So okay, just need to configure that, and we can create the experiment. Okay. So once I have created the experiment, I have here my link to Google Analytics. That's the first thing you can do. You can select a primary objective directly from the list. Here, unfortunately, just a test account, so we don't have a real purchase. Otherwise, you could select, for example, the revenue, the number of sales, and so on. But here, just for the example, I will select the page view. And then we can select as well the different secondary objective, for example, let's say the bounce rate. If you have a specific event you want to test, so for example, here it's the number of page view, but it's not it's not probably the best objective you could have. You all agree with that, because what we want to see is that if people click more on this picture than before. Okay, so what you can do at this moment is using a custom event that you could create with Google Tag Manager. For example, when people click on this specific picture on the home page, I want Google Analytics to receive an event with the click. So it's what I set up before. If I just category equal, that's yes, okay. So here, for example, I configured the event just before. It's called interaction. It's an interaction only on this specific picture. I will, okay, click on okay, and then my primary objective is the number of click on choose pictures. After, I could use the bounce rate. I could select page view as well. Would you suggest adding site objectives, since it makes a lot hard to draw conclusion? Yes, I would do it, because it doesn't affect really your results. So you can see the primary objective and then consult additional objective if you want, but it's not required. But sometimes it's super important, but based on your strategy, to see if you have an e-commerce webshop, for example, you could say, okay, I want making more purchases, but what happens if you you manage to get more purchases, but that your global revenue decrease because the average cart, for example, is decreasing. So it could affect by different way your website. So entering different objectives enable you to see if everything is going on the right direction or not. So yes, I would recommend you to do that. A very nice KPI to follow is the average revenue per users. Most of the time, it's enabled to avoid any bias. So it's for an e-commerce website, obviously. You can test your installation as well, running some diagnostic. You can decide which part of the traffic allocation you want to use for this test. It can be 100%, especially if you don't have a lot of people. But if you are a very, very large e-commerce, it can be quite risky to launch the test on 100% of the websites, especially on a home page. So you could say, for example, okay, I only take 10% because I know that's enough. Okay. And you can let the page load for this. A question we get a lot is how to decide the sample size. So you have some websites you can find and just enter your information. So if you have, for example, 3% conversion rate, and that you want your test to be quite relevant, it's minimum 20%. Minimum detectable effect with 95% is the standard. Your sample size should be 13,000 people. So that's just an example for the volume, so that you can see if you have enough or not. So once you have done that, you can start creating your variant. So let's call it variant 1 or picture choose picture number 2. So I can see my variant here. I can add other variants if I want. I can preview it, and the most important, I can edit it. So we will edit it. You will see it's super, super easy to do. Okay. So, okay, this is the kind of view you will get when you want to edit a specific page, and you can see that Google Optimize can read every element separately of your website. Okay, so we wanted to change the image URL here, and actually it's super easy because you have the source with your URL, your current URL, and you can just go there. Okay, I take my image URL and replace it. Okay, and it's done. It's so it's your first test, and yeah, isn't easy. So once you save it like that, you have your event that trigger when people click on this specific section. You just replace the image. You can just now launch your test and it's finished. And Google Optimize will take care of everything about traffic dispatch results. So, okay, I start the experiment and we're good. It's collecting results. Then you will see the result in the reporting here at the end. Yeah, sure, you can. You will have an access to the webinar later as well. Okay, is it clear for this test? It's quite easy. I can show you something a bit more advanced as well, if you want. Okay, good. So another thing we could do is, for example, okay. We could, for example, decide to some specific platform, for example, on mobile. It could be another test we can do together now. So, oh yeah, right. Okay, let's call it like that. I change just the URL now. And I can create my variant again. I edit it. Okay, it's loading. I use this website. It's free. It's easy, but there are some others as well if you want. But so let's imagine here you decide to remove the subject because you think it's not useful, but you can see it's a require field. So if you just do remove it, actually your visitor won't be able to submit the form again, because when your backend, the backend system of your website will analyze the result, it will see that some information for the subject are missing. In this case, what you have to do is just to edit the HTML. It can be a bit more difficult, but actually it's not. And you have to edit two things is this field. The type is not text anymore, but it will become hidden. And then you have to add a value like that. And for the value, you can say, for example, add a test form without subject, just to let you know when you will see the form in your database that it's not because someone have not completed it, but it's just an A/B test. Okay, when you apply it, it will disappear, and then you can just remove it, the other section like that. Okay, and then it's done. You can run the test. It will be working well. Okay. Yeah, I forget, but you can change here the view to see on what happened on other devices. Something I really recommend you to do just to ensure everything is good as well. Then you can test on different devices how it will appear, and to check if you don't have problem on specific devices, for example, iPhone 7 on different resolution, especially if you're changing a bit the style of your page. In most of the case, if you are just removing a form field, it won't affect a lot the visual, and you don't have a lot of risk by doing that. Okay, so here you can see your form appear very correctly. Once it's done, I can just finish the experiment. Then we come back to Google Optimize. I guess, yeah. Okay, I have my variant here, and so here I can select the specific URL I want to test. If the element I change is present on different pages, I could add the different pages as well. It's possible. And I can customize a bit for which audience the test will be applied. So I could say, for example, I only want it to be applied to mobile user, because the form should be reduced for this specific category. So it's very easy to use and quite user-friendly. I would say they did a great job on UX. For the audience targeting, I could add another rule, but as you see here, you could use audience targeting for a specific Google Ads campaigns as well, groups or even keywords. You could distinguish based on the UTM parameters. So if your developer is adding some specific parameters for some category or segments and so on, it's possible to use them to launch a test or a specific segment as well. And another very useful aspect is the first party cookie. So based on the cookie, you can decide to launch or not a test on this population. And it's quite easy. Okay, for Google Optimize, is it clear for you? Do you see how to launch your first test? Yeah? Okay, great. Okay, so I will show you now the case with the red cross. Okay. So this is a case I would like to show you with the REST cross. So we launched a lot of A/B test and personalization with them last year. So it was really nice. It's a very good ONG as well, with the objective of helping homeless people and to get more donation for that, obviously, because they have a lot of people on every city to help others and even abroad, actually. And so the website looked like that last year. It has been improved a bit since. But try to see if you notice some issue with the website that could prevent people from donating money to the Red Cross. So here, guys, click on the pop-up. Okay, select the amount, validate the donation amount. Then they arrive on the other page. Do you see some element that could block the user or prevent the user from making a donation? You're still with me? We shouldn't have lost many people. Actually, you are still alive. Okay, great. So any ideas? What could prevent users to make some donation? Do you think? I can replay it if you want. But that's something you should see. So okay, I click on the button, make a donation. The user, it's a real recording. So the user click on it, the amount, but nothing happen. Then I see, okay, validate my donation amount. And then you arrive on the other website. It's a website, specific website for ONG to make donation. Yeah, too many steps. What is your suggestion then? Yeah, indeed. Actually, there is one very, yes, that's good. That's very good. And there is one specific problem here. If you see that on the pop-up, you don't see the button to validate. And actually, if you click on it, nothing really happened. So you can click 4 times on this amount and nothing happened. You need to scroll down and then to validate the donation. And so actually this was preventing a lot of people to make donations. And they just decided with us to remove this pop-up. And it's what our hypothesis. So we had several hypotheses, but it was an important one based on the analytics side and the different recording we had from the bottom red cross. Yeah, indeed, the destination URL, long and messy, yeah. And so what happened just by removing this pop-up, and it was really super easy to do actually, and it's just obvious. All of you, I think, see that directly when you look at the different recording. You find you quite easily see people trying to click and click and click. It's called the rage clicking for the conversion optimization in conversion optimization terms. When you have rage clicking or this kind of stuff, you can see directly there is a problem. And so people want to make a donation, but it's not possible because they don't understand how to go to the next step. And actually, just by removing this pop-up, they improve the conversion rate of 43%. So it's quite exponential for them, but it makes a huge difference at the end of the month, obviously. So there's just a small case to tell you that something, it can be a super easy stuff or something a developer has added just to make it easier, but which is not the case. That could prevent just your user to make donation or to make a purchase. Okay. So do you have any question on this small case? Something. Is everything clear? Okay. Not really clear? Okay. Okay, no problem. Oh, okay, no repeat here. Sorry, okay. Okay, it's really clear. Perfect. We can go to the tips and tricks section. So the first tip is that you can identify key segment of user to target. So you don't have to target everybody each time. Sometimes it's good for some tests, as I showed before. But for example, you could decide to make a specific discount for people interested by some categories. For example, what is the impact of a discount for people looking for shoes or people looking for watches? You could make the test and say, okay, I give you 20% discount when you arrive on the website if you are interested by watches, 20% the same, for example, if you are interested by wedding dresses, and then seeing, okay, which segments are the more sensitive to the prices. And then you can see if you need to adjust your price because it could increase a lot the conversion rate and maybe reduce a bit your margin, but increase the volume so much that it would be super interesting for you. So A/B testing and CRO could be good as well to define what is the best price to get the most of ROI. Then, and I insisted a lot on that, but I really advise you to create this kind of table just to document all of your tests, and it's what we do usually with clients. So the date, the hypothesis you want to test, the observation type, if you saw it from a specific recording, from analytics, from ergonomic rules, for an intuition from the clients, or anything like that, just document everything. Yeah, okay, no problem. We will send you the link, no issue. Thank you for attending the webinar. Then don't hesitate to take a screenshot, because really when it's visual, it's easier to see and to remember the test, especially when we have more than 100 or 200 tests that have been launched. The primary, secondary objective, the priority, just to see, okay, I need to test first that and then this one. If that's been validated by the client, obviously it's important, and the date of launch and the result. Once you have documented everything, it's becoming easier to test and gaining more and more impact at each test you launch. Then the tip 3, pay attention to the loading issue. So it's what we call the flicker, but Google Optimize, it's a script we add on the website. So it means that it's like a new layer, and the website will be loaded, and then Google Optimize will load, and sometimes will change an element. So it could happen, and I think maybe we could have the case together. If I just take my other example here. So the test is running, so let's see. But if I go to the website of Universal to make the test, maybe we will see the flicker effects. So we are arriving on the website. You see the picture here, and then it has been changed. See, because we didn't use the anti-flicker effect, it's called, or because the anti-flicker effect has not loaded quickly enough. But it happened a lot with A/B testing and CRO. So probably you need to use an additional code to say, okay, if Google Optimize has not loaded, you shouldn't load the website. So that's something important as well. Check how your change looks like on other resolution and devices. Super important, obviously, because sometimes everything, it could break everything for mobile users by changing some elements from the desktop view. So always do that kind of test. Yes, it's a small trick that you can use as well. Image BB or image check, for example, just to host an image. It could be a video as well, but you can use YouTube for that, or any other stuff you want to upload. And finally, be sure that your tests are significant. That means more than 95% the significancy, and just the probability to beat it. And you can see it here in the result of Google, but actually it won't show it in green if you don't have at least 95% of probability to beat the baseline. And so now you can see which version is the best one, which variant, and what you need to implement. Okay, so we reached actually the end of the webinar, and I'm super sorry for all the connection issue we get. I hope you learned something new. And yeah, it's time for questions. So do you have any question? What do you plan to test yourself? If you need help, we would be super happy to help you as well. And so yeah, have fun with CRO. Any question? No? Do you have some ideas on some stuff you would like to test on your website? You're still with me? I know it's almost time to eat, but still a few minutes, and then I let you eat. Okay. Yeah, sure. It could be on your website. And when I ask you, do you get some ideas on something new to test? It could be for you as well. Sure, I will send you, and maybe I will see with Bram if we cannot record a YouTube video, which would be better, I guess, to avoid the interruptions. But yeah, sure, we'll send you the content. So no specific question. It's the moment. If you have a questions on something you would like to test on your website, please don't hesitate. You're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. Hmm. It's a good question, but most of the time, yes, that's more interesting to test on mobile. Why? Because until recently, developers were building almost every website based on desktop as a reference, and actually, it's still a bit the case now. Even if we advise to think mobile before thinking the desktop. But yes, most of the time we can get better improvement rate using mobile. So the priority could be higher for mobile than desktop. Yes, sure. With pleasure. If you have other questions, don't hesitate. And yes, really try to make the exercise yourself. Go to Google Analytics, look at the potential problems, record a session, and draw your hypothesis. And yeah, try it. Try it. Test. Always test. And never stop testing. Yeah. Yeah, there are indeed many different services and tools. For me, I won't advise a tool specifically. I think Google Optimize is good here because it's free and it enables everybody to test it quickly, and it's easy to implement and connect it to other Google products. But yeah, it's certainly not the best tool, especially if you have advanced issues or want to test really specific stuff. But I think it's a good start for almost everybody. And the most important, it's really not the tool, but really the strategy you had before, the way you perform research and then understand the user issues on your website. And then once you got that, whatever your tool you use, it could be Spot Optimize and anything else on the market, actually, it will be nice. It's good. I think it is really the research before and the strategy are the most important stuff for CRO. Much more important than the tool. Yeah, and I'm not sure about automated optimization, to be honest. You're welcome. Okay, so thanks a lot for attending this webinar. Obviously, yeah, so I encourage you to test your website, to make some tests. And if you have any question, please don't hesitate. It will be a pleasure for us to help you and to advise. Yeah, so don't hesitate to come back to us. Thank you. Have a nice day and take care. Take care of your and your family. Bye bye.